Jon.Kozesky here with the Chamber of Commerce, your small business advocate. We've been doing a lot of distant socializing here at the Chamber of Commerce, and as I'm enjoying a little coffee out of my Toth painting coffee mug, that's certainly not a prop that was purposely put here, I thought why not invite the man himself, Kris Toth of Toth Painting. Kris, how are you today?
Like that logo. Looks good, John. Doing well. Making the most out of every day, you know?
That's all we can do, Kris. So, most importantly, Kris, you and the family and the kids, everybody's home and healthy?
Everyone's doing well. They're missing school, missing their friends and everything, but they've been staying home, and I tell them it's nice that lucky they're not an only child. They get to hang out with each other and play video games together and do different things that a lot of their kids don't get to do. So I think they're very fortunate in that regard.
Is there any distant learning going on at all, or?
We're trying. Trying to make it happen. It's definitely different. It's interesting, and it's we have three girls, and they're all obviously different ages, and they learn differently. So one of them is doing just fine with it. The other one really likes that interaction with their teachers and that firsthand learning. So it's different, and we'll figure it out.
Totally understand. Well, Kris, tell us a little bit about Toth Painting Solutions.
So we are actually celebrating our 20th year this year, and right with a bang, right? So, it's amazing that 20 years went by this fast, but we are a essentially residential painting company. We do what the industry calls residential repaints. We paint homes that have been already painted before. They're inhabited, people live there, we work around furniture. We do interior and exterior. We do some commercial work, local commercial work. We do some of our friends here in Brecksville and different areas. We are based our office is actually in Brooklyn Heights, and I live here in Brecksville, so most of our work is actually in Brecksville, Broadview Heights, Independence area as well. So, yeah, what a way to start 2020 and 20 years, but we're making the most of it, and here we are.
Fantastic. Well, ironically, here in the studio, we were just talking about getting a new paint job because this is definitely not a green screen. So we might actually have to call you for your services once this is all over. But
happy to help.
But speaking of everything that's going on right now, certainly all of our businesses have been affected. So tell us a little bit about how Toth Painting has responded to that.
It's interesting because we shut down basically, and we were listed as an essential business technically, but early spring the weather is always bad. We had to, we were dependent on interior work all the way until at least April, if not later. And as we can see outside right now, it's spitting snow, and we're in May. So we were dependent on that interior work, but everyone was really freaked out. I mean, understandably so. Nobody knew what was going to happen. When the restaurant shut down, the school shut down, that was the initial first piece of it. And then nobody called. And we really didn't want to work in other people's houses either. We didn't know what their exposure level was and all that stuff too. So we immediately furloughed everybody just so they could make sure they're taking care of their families, at least what they could do on unemployment. We made that decision very early, very quick. And then slowly started bringing our guys back as the comfort level increased. We had some empty houses that we were able to work in. People were moving in, moving out. So that was helpful. We were working one guy in a house, being very careful. And as things start to reopen here, people are getting more comfortable. On the other hand, our exterior season, I'm able to go do estimates. People are not afraid of that. We have more work booked than we've ever had on exterior at one time. So we were worried more about the economy piece of it than we were the virus piece of it. We thought we'd have some cancellations. We weren't really sure where the calls would stop, but it seems like we're getting the right calls at the right time, and we're selling more and more exterior work. We're still looking for some of that interior work to keep the guys working on these odd rainy days and things that aren't working, but we're slowly getting back outside, and we'll have several crews outside. We started actually this week with everybody, and most of those crews were outside. So we got 1 week down with everybody back. So
well,
we're happy.
It's all got to start somewhere, but that's fantastic that you've been able to walk that line between safety and still keeping the business going and keeping your employees working. That's fantastic news. and awesome for a small business owner. But speaking of our small business community, I want to shift gears here just a little bit, Kris, because aside from being a business owner, you're also president of the Brecksville Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. So, when we talk about, what everyone says, well, what are you doing with your time? Are you knitting sweaters? Are you doing this and that? And I said, I don't know. I don't know where the day goes, because it seems like we're in one meeting and out into another meeting, all on Zoom. But I'm also on the board of NARI. So between, trying to figure out how to help our chamber members as much as possible, talking to our board about how we're going to approach, how we can help, talking to you as the executive director, trying to figure out what we can do. It's been very busy, and then trying to balance the business. And I'll tell you, I've been trying to really focus on the kids as well, and trying to help my wife with, trying to keep them occupied and do other things too. So I feel like I'm busier than ever, and I haven't taken on any kind of strange hobbies or anything. So
I wasn't going to ask if you've been knitting sweaters. I just assumed you've been spending the time finding new ways to braid your hair or something.
Yes. That's one thing I didn't have to worry about the salons being shut down. I don't know what everyone was worried about. So
you and me both.
It stays just like this. It's no problem. But as far as we're so, and it's affecting everybody in different ways. Especially we're so plugged in with our members, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank you and Amber. You guys have done an awesome job. And these interviews have been great, just to kind of keep in front of everybody, just to let everybody know we're in the same boat. We're trying to figure this out. Or as we've heard the new saying is, we're on the same storm. We're not in the same boat. Maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of, and it's true. We're all in different. Whether you're a restaurant business, whether you're construction like ourselves, we were affected a different way. You've got commercial construction. They are affected differently, even in between, even in that same industry. We've got so many different people, and it's, and I think the message is just straightforward for everyone. However we can help, we want to help, and I think that we've been able to stay in front of people, which is awesome. And again, thank you for being involved with that process as well. Having the senators, congressmen talking about their perspective and point of view, some of the inside track of what to look for, what's going on, the PPP. I mean, what an unbelievable, rigorous process that was. Every day it was changing, and we're what is going on, and how can we help? That was the biggest piece of it. Nobody knew more than another, and every time you thought you knew something, it changed the next day. And how do we get that out to our members? So, I hope everyone appreciates all those emails and didn't get inundated, but it was, I felt like that was so important to get that out. And each stage and each week there was something new that was pertinent. So, as we reopen, it's so exciting to see, and to see that, there is a balance to it. This is a real virus. We all know that, and we all believe that, and we can see that, but we all have different opinions on different things, and it's kind of crazy when you look at it all. But I think we all agree that it is a real virus. There's a balancing act to it. We can't keep the economy closed any longer. We've got to open it. There's got to be a balance. And we've got to do it as safely as possible to keep as many people safe as we possibly can. And so I'm so happy to, as a business owner, I get excited, I get fired up, and just for our members, just to see them being able to reopen and to know how much it affects their families, and just that, myself, 20 years working so hard to build this, and to have it within a month, within 6 weeks, if we were such a fragile business. Some of the businesses are just week to week because they don't have the profit margin and things like that, and the cash flow capital. And to watch all that stuff that they work for their entire life crumbling and not really know what the answers are, it was so hard to see and so hard to watch. So I'm so excited to watch it all come back together, and hopefully
Absolutely.
Everyone as excited as I am, so we can do it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the kind words, Kris, and certainly to our members. We hope that we were able to demonstrate that we are a resource to all of them, and Kris and myself and Amber were all available to all of our members to help throughout this entire process. But to get back to business here real quick before we wrap up, Kris, Toth Painting Solutions. If I'm at home right now, if I'm thinking about painting the outside of my house, the inside of my house, what can I be doing right now to be ready when the weather breaks?
Well, inside work, we're still kind of giving a discount for some inside work, just because we're looking for it. It's a little harder to find right now for us. As long as you're comfortable with it, if there's a safe way to do it, we're willing to kind of bend over backwards to figure out what works in your particular situation. Love to help you out with that.
Well, fantastic, Kris. That's all great information. We have Toth Painting Solutions information right here on the screen. And it's not every day that I get to share the show with a former Conneaut High School alumni, so go Spartans. Kris Toth, everybody. Thank you for joining us here. Remember, keep home, keep healthy, keep shopping local.